I quit paying my mother's storage unit fee the month she told the property manager I was sitting on her whole life out of spite. For context, my mom had a rough stretch about 2 years ago. My stepdad left, the house went on the market fast, and she ended up in a one-bedroom apartment about 40 minutes from where she used to live. She couldn't take most of her furniture. There was no room. So I offered to cover a storage unit until she got settled. We found a place on Hendricks Avenue together, drove over, loaded the unit up over 2 Saturdays, and I set up auto pay. $63 a month. I handed her a key in the parking lot and told her to call me whenever she was ready to start going through it. That was 2 years ago. She never called. The unit just sat there. The auto pay ran every month and I didn't think much about it. She's my mom. I wasn't keeping a tab. What I didn't know was that she'd been calling the storage facility, not to schedule access or ask about anything, just to call. Apparently she'd been doing it for months, leaving messages with a manager, a woman named Denise. In April, Denise called me directly. I figured maybe there was a rate increase or some issue with the card. That's not what it was. Denise told me my mom had been leaving messages multiple times, multiple calls, saying that I had the only key to the unit and I was refusing to let her access it, that I was deliberately keeping her from her belongings, that I was, and Denise read this back to me carefully, sitting on her whole life out of spite. I had to ask her to repeat it. She did. She said she'd heard this version enough times that she was wondering if she needed to escalate somehow, get someone involved. She wasn't sure. I told her my mom has her own key. I gave it to her in the parking lot the day we opened the unit. She thanked me. I watched her put it on her keychain. I also told her I hadn't set foot in that unit since we dropped off the last box. Everything in there is my mom's stuff. I was paying $63 a month, so it didn't get auctioned off. Denise said she didn't know what to do with that information. I said I wasn't really sure either. I called my mom that night. I wasn't going in hot. I genuinely thought maybe she'd lost her key and was too embarrassed to ask for another one. That would be like her honestly spin something into a whole thing rather than just say what happened. I asked her as calmly as I could if she still had access to the unit. She said, "What kind of question is that?" I said, "I got a call from Denise today." Silence. Then, I just told her I'd been trying to reach you. I said, "She read me back what you said about me keeping you from your things." My mom made this exhale like I was being exhausting and said I was frustrated. "You don't always pick up." I said, "So when you couldn't reach me, you told the property manager I was holding your things hostage." She said, "I didn't use that word." I said, "You said I was sitting on your whole life out of spite." She didn't say anything. I said, "Okay." We talked about something else for a few minutes and got off the phone. That night I went online and canceled the auto pay. The next morning I texted her, "Hey, I stopped the auto pay on the storage unit. Didn't feel right to keep paying after that conversation with Denise. You'll want to set up your own payment before the 15th so nothing lapses." She didn't respond for 3 days. Then she called and said she couldn't do $63 a month right now and needed me to keep covering it until she figured things out. I said I understood that, but I wasn't going to keep paying for a unit she was telling people I was using against her. She said it was one conversation and I was making it into something. I said it was multiple conversations over multiple months. Denise told me that specifically. My mom said Denise had no business calling me. I said, "She called me because you were telling her I was doing something wrong." That seems pretty reasonable to me. My mom said I always made everything so difficult, that if the unit fell behind and her things got auctioned, that was going to be on me. I said, "You have a key. You can move everything somewhere cheaper, you can go through it, you can do whatever you need to do. That's always been available to you." She said that wasn't the point. I said, "What is the point?" She hung up. My aunt called 2 days later, said my mom was devastated and I needed to reconsider. Said family doesn't cut off family over a misunderstanding. I said, "She told a stranger I was holding her belongings hostage to hurt her. For months. That's not a misunderstanding, that's a story she invented." My aunt said I was being cold. I said I paid that unit for 2 years without mentioning it once. I think I get 1 month off.